Yeah. Fine. Because we're messing with a damn Senate, a chairman's bill. Well, no, it's a Senate bill. How long do you think you need? Because this is a chairman's bill, so we typically don't hold chairman's bills.
An undue position, undue burden up against that Hippocratic oath.
Knowing the financial
Even with the financial thresholds.
of 2250,
Yep.
and you said that
He wants to be added into the bill.
as someone who is it to exclude it from the bill?
No, added into the bill to limit the protection because of the financial threshold.
Just to go back, we want to add all doctors and veterinarians into the bill of people that cannot utilize NDAs.
Correct.
I feel like that's.
They do it for lawyers. I mean, why wouldn't you do it for?
It's not that. I feel like that's a much bigger conversation because we don't know if there's any opposition. I see your point. So you're saying that, in their opinion, they should not be allowed to use NDAs over people.
Not that they shouldn't allow to use NDAs, but based on the income thresholds of this bill, that they just talked to the constituent 15 minutes ago.
So they want to be excluded or
No,
included?
He wants to be included in the bill. He wants veterinarians to be included and doctors.
So is the way it's written now, they're currently excluded? Do you want to wait till we get to that bill? I just, because it's a chairman's bill, didn't want to hold it if we didn't have to, but this is the Senator Smith's 591.
Yeah.
Are doctors and veterinarians excluded from the bill currently?
It's based on income. And so they want to take it up to 150% of minimum wage.
Which is $22.50.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not per se profession, it's more or less about salary. Right. And I think to his point, he is saying that they also don't want to have to be subject to non-compete agreements based upon the reasons that are in the bill.
Regardless of their salary, is that what they're saying?
That would be for what his.
That's what I'm saying.
Is that what your constituent is saying?
I would need clarification.
But you understand, do we have anybody else, are there any other exceptions that regardless of salary? Because I guess we're trying to make a special exception here when everybody else is pretty much just, if you pay under $22.50, you cannot require an NDA. And they're saying regardless of what doctors pay somebody, they should not be able to be required an NDA.
We hold it so I get some clarification.
Yes, but we gotta, it's a chairman's bill. He's been asking about this one. So we can hold it. I guess we'll be voting again. What's today? Wednesday,
Tuesday.
Thursday?
Today's Tuesday.
All right, so I'm sure we'll be voting in tomorrow. So we'll hold it for one day.
That's all I want. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And please talk with council a little bit about that to make sure that you understand that your constituent actually understands the bill. And I say that.
He does. It's more me. Honestly.
Right. Who you here for, sir?
CT, it's more me, honestly. And I've already talked to, and we're gonna sit down and head show.
Okay. That's fine. All right, colleagues, get ready to start our voting session. You have in front of you voting list number 15. First bill, please.
Yes, House Bill 255. ECM is secondary on this. ENT is primary. They voted this favorable. This bill establishes a paint stewardship program to address the collection and management of post-consumer architectural paint. The bill also establishes a prohibition on the sale of architectural paint unless the producer or its representative is implementing an approved paint stewardship program. There are no amendments to the bill.
Favorable.
Question, how many times has this bill been through this committee, do you know?
At least two times since I've been here.
It's been voted out at least two times, correct?
Correct. Also, EEE, the Senate committee, just voted it favorable. So
Gotcha.
Unanimous or?
I don't believe it was
I don't believe it was unanimous, though. I think it was a party line vote, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably.
Yeah. All right, so
Move favorable.
was there any amendments? On the bill, moving favorable, Delegate Crosby. Delegate Harrison. Delegate Boafo. Delegate Howard.
Nay.
Delegate Charkoudian.
Yes.
Delegate Rose. Delegate Pruski. Delegate Fennell. Delegate Turner. Delegate Sample Hughes is excused. Delegate Valderrama. Delegate Chi. Delegate Frazier Hildago. Delegate Adams is excused. Delegate Aaron's. Delegate Pippy. Delegate Jackson. Delegate Johnson. Delegate Rogers. Delegate Amprey. Delegate Wyval. Delegate Fisher is excused. Delegate Queen. Bill moves forward favorable. Next bill, please.
Actually, if we can hold this one until we get to the Senate cross file.
Okay. All right, now we're on to Bill.
House Bill 1055, sir.
Yes, please.
House Bill 1055 prohibits a security guard employer from employing a security guard to provide security guard services unless the security guard is certified. There are two amendments in your packet. One of them carves out an exception in the legislation for unarmed employees of restaurant, bars, and taverns. The other one lowers the amount of continuing security guard training from 10 to 8 hours, helps define the use of force, and changes the timeline of reporting use of force incidents to the secretary.
On the amendments, all in favor say aye. Any opposition? Hearing none. Any discussion on the bill?
And now we're gonna lower the training from 10 to 8 hours, and the whole point was to certify and train of the bill. I mean, I believe that was what the testimony.
Correct.
Okay.
But again, the yearly training, they just lowered
So
it to
we're
8.
going from, we're gonna,
Go
they have
from-
to be certified, but we're gonna lower the training to increase the training for certification.
Well, there's no training now.
Cool.
So it's going from
Training
0,
for armed security positions.
it's going from 0 to 8, yes, versus 0 to 0. Right now, there's none. It was laid out at
Across the
10,
board- Across the board for all security?
none. There was 0
I
required.
was security at Calvert Cliffs, and I spent a month and a half. in a
Because
class.
Calvert Cliffs required that,
Doing SWAT
individual businesses, but this is saying anybody who is armed, you need a certification in the state now to be armed security or apparently unarmed outside of these 3 areas, then you have to go through this certification process to be certified, i.e. to do your job regardless of what your employer does. Because what we have is a bunch of employers in patchwork certification, not certification, qualification to work at that job. But now this certifies you in Maryland to do this job, and it does through training, and I believe is it annual training as well? Or just one time?
For renewing your certificate.
Okay,
It's going from
and how
10 to
often is the renewal?
Every few years.
Is there de-escalation training in the criteria?
Yes.
Outlined in the criteria, minimum time of de-escalation training, because I know that was part of the testimony as well.
I don't know if we were specific with it. I do know we allowed NPTC to lay out the training specifications.
So they testified for de-escalation certification. But we don't know if the de-escalation is actually.
Brief indulgence, because
It's not specified in here. They have to, the state police, Secretary of State Police has to come up with the training. They'll develop the training.
All right.
any further discussion on the bill? Hearing none? We already moved favorable?
Just to make sure. Move favorable.
With amendments. On favorable with amendments, Delegate Crosby. Delegate Harrison. Delegate Boafo. Delegate Howard. Delegate Charkoudian. Delegate Rose. Delegate Pruski. Delegate Fennell. Delegate Turner. Delegate Sample Hughes is excused. Delegate Valderrama. Delegate Chi. Delegate Frazier Hildago. Delegate Adams is excused. Delegate Aaron's. Delegate Pippy. Delegate Jackson. Delegate Johnson. Delegate Rogers. Delegate Amprey. Delegate Wyval. Delegate Fisher is excused. And Delegate Queen. Bill moves favorable. Next bill, please.
Bill 104 establishes the Apprenticeship 2030 Commission to examine and make recommendations to reduce skill shortages in high-demand occupations and provide affordable training for career pathways for young people. There are no amendments.
Any discussions on the bill? Do you guys need time to look at, Aaron's? No, I got y'all, but on this bill, I didn't know if you wanted to see what the Senate had done for their voting before you decided to cast. So it was unanimous in the Senate. Doesn't mean anything, but are you guys good? Steve, you good? I mean, I don't need you to vote for him. I want to make sure you have a. And we're trying to, that's why I'm trying to give you the time to do what you need to do. We're good? On the bill moving forward, favorable. Delegate Crosby. Aye. Delegate Harrison. Delegate Boafo. Delegate Howard. Delegate Charkoudian. Delegate Rose. Delegate Pruski. Delegate Fennell. Delegate Turner. Delegate Sample Hughes is excused. Delegate Valderrama. Delegate Chi. Delegate Frazier Hidalgo. Delegate Adams is excused. Delegate Arentz. Delegate Pippy. Delegate Jackson. Delegate Johnson. Delegate Rogers. Delegate Ampry. Delegate Weigel. Delegate Fisher is excused. Delegate Queen. Bill moves forward favorable. Next bill, please.
Senate Bill 143 is Senator Feldman's net energy metering bill, virtual net energy metering, accrual of net and excess generation. This was amended so that it is different from the way the House bill was presented. The anniversary date stays at April rather than moving back to August. There is one amendment in your packet that exempts all cooperatives, not just small rural electric cooperatives.
On the amendments, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Move the bill as amended.
Any discussion on the bill? Seeing none. Mr. Vice Chair.
Aye.
Delegate Harrison. Delegate Boafo. Delegate Howard. Delegate Charkoudian. Delegate Rose. Delegate Pruski. Delegate Fennell. Delegate Turner. Delegate Sample Hughes is excused. Delegate Valderrama. Delegate Chi. Delegate Frazier Hidalgo. Delegate Adams is excused. Delegate Arentz. Delegate Pippy. Delegate Jackson. Delegate Johnson. Delegate Rogers. Delegate Ampry. Delegate Weigel. Delegate Fisher is excused. Delegate Queen. Bill moves favorable. Next bill, please.
Actually, we have one that is not on the list, but
Yes, that's Senate Bill 144.
Senate Bill 144 is identical to House Bill 169 as passed by the House. That's the Delegate Charkoudian's bill on Empower and the DHCD. It's not like 1035, although we put the contents of it into 1035. It was the bill that you overrode the veto. That was vetoed last year, essentially.
So was this bill amended?
It was amended in the Senate to look like House 169.
So this is just a favorable motion?
Correct.
Move favorable.
Any discussion on this bill? Seeing none. Delegate Crosby.
Aye.
Delegate Harrison. Delegate Boafo. Delegate Howard. Delegate Charkoudian. Delegate Rose. Delegate Pruski. Delegate Fennell. Delegate Turner. Delegate Sample Hughes is excused. Delegate Valderrama. Delegate Chi. Delegate Frazier Hidalgo. Delegate Adams excused. Delegate Arentz. Delegate Pippy. Delegate Jackson. Delegate Johnson. Delegate Rogers. Delegate Ampry. Delegate Weigel. Delegate Fisher is excused, and Delegate Queen. Bill moves favorable. That was Senate Bill 144. Next bill is Senate Bill 448.
Senate Bill 448 is one of the pair of alcohol manufacturers' delivery bills and off-site permits bills. There are amendments in your packet from Delegate Valderrama that limit the, essentially make it a one-year extension rather than a two-year extension, and also limit the quantities that may be delivered by beer and spirits producers.
On the amendments, all in favor say aye. Aye. On the amendments, or do you want to discuss?
Just 1 year instead of two. The bill came in with 2 years. This makes it 1 year.
I get that. Where are we at with the other extensions?
That's it. They're done.
We let other people sell.
This was originally a COVID bill. Those what were also extended were the restaurant delivery bills. This is manufacturer delivery, and the restaurant deliveries were not statewide. Those were authorized statewide, but the localities had the option of doing them or not, and some chose not to. These are statewide licenses. Just for 1 year, only for the manufacturers, not for the restaurants.
I believe next year we're going to visit in a more permanent matter and have to make that decision because obviously we're stepping out of the bounds of COVID and COVID impacts, and now it's become a financial boon. So I believe that will be next year's bill. As I've expressed to them, I don't want to keep doing these extensions and what I believe at some point becomes bad faith. So whatever you vote this year, whatever, but next year we will have a more specified bill that actually layouts what their intent is.
Yeah, I mean, the concern with these bills, and one of the reasons that the usual suspects were opposing a longer extension, is the longer we do this, the more we are treating in-state and out-of-state producers differently, the more Maryland becomes a target for some law firms that are out there actually looking to raise the Dormant Commerce Clause issues. With this amendment to limit the quantity, which is what came over from the Senate, but also to make it only 1 year rather than 2.
Delegate Pippy.
I mean, I think I know the answer. So I'm assuming the wholesalers and the Maryland state licensed beverage, 1 year is better than 2 years, but I mean, is there any sort of
I don't have any communication from them.
compromise on this, or is this the best?
I think this was the compromise.
That was the compromise.
Essentially.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions? On the amendments, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Any discussion on the bill as amended? Seeing none. Delegate Crosby. Aye. Delegate Harrison. Delegate Boafo. Delegate Howard. Delegate Charkoudian. Delegate Rose. Delegate Pruski. Yes. Delegate Fennell. Delegate Turner. Yes. Sample Hughes excused. Delegate Valderrama. Aye. Delegate Chi. Aye. Delegate Frazier Hidalgo. Aye. Adams excused. Delegate Arentz. Delegate Pippy. Aye. Delegate Jackson. Delegate Johnson. Delegate Rogers. Delegate Ampry. Yes. Delegate Weibel. Delegate Fisher is excused, and Delegate Queen. Bill moves favorable with amendments. Next bill is, I believe now we're doing House Bill 595.
Yes, sir. Would vote simply to conform to what we just did.
Conform the House bill to the Senate bill.
So that's amendments, correct?
Correct.
Amendment to the House bill to the Senate bill.
On the amendments, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none.
Bill is amended.
I believe that this was a unanimous vote with
Yes,
Sample
sir.
Hughes, Adams, and Fisher excused. Okay. Next bill, please.
The whole 591, correct?
That is correct. We're going to be holding it for one election cycle, so we'll be voting on it tomorrow. Next bill, please.
Give me a sec. Okay. Senate Bill 719 is a departmental bill from MEA dealing with the State Fuel Security Program. Essentially, was pared back by the Senate to become essentially a monitoring program for MEA to learn what fuels are out there in the case of emergency rather than actually to stockpile them. There is an amendment that actually makes sure that if there is confidential information that is disclosed in a breach, that MEA has to notify the ones providing the information within 72 hours.
On the amendments, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
The bill's amended.
On the amendments or on the bill?
Well, we had moved, we adopted the amendment, so I guess it's on the bill now.
Gotcha, on the bill.
So, looking at the fiscal note here, I've never seen this before, but in the fiscal note, it says the parameters of the program are otherwise largely undefined. So what are they trying to do with this information?
Simply, much as the Energy Information Administration does on the federal level, on the state level, they're simply trying to see what stores are available in case of an energy emergency, whether it's petroleum, various petroleum products, or that sort of thing.
So this is for an emergency situation?
This is information in case there would be, the governor would need to do something on an emergent basis. This is simply it's simply gathering information at this point. The bill as it originally came in over in the Senate would actually have given some ability of the administration to obtain and direct where petroleum and other fuels go. This is simply information. That was amended out. So now it's really an information gathering and monitoring situation.
So like in case of an emergency, or let's say like emergency power, like I'm just gonna ban all fossil fuels in Maryland, is that?
No, and quite the opposite. It would be a matter of for example, remembering back in 1973 when we had the original energy crisis.
Yeah, odd number, I wasn't alive then, but I read about it.
I was, yes.
Yeah, odd numbers on Mondays and even numbers on
Exactly.
Tuesday.
We
Yeah, I
had in
remember.
Jersey, and flags out at the gas stations, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, it just seems a little bizarre. I don't know. I mean, that's okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the bill as amended? Delegate Rose.
Just so I can understand the bill, so there was going to be a list compiled of everyone. Would this include, let's say, a farmer or a private business has fuel stored? Is that all going to be?
No, this is the suppliers.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any further discussion on the bill as amended? Seeing none. On the bill as amended, Delegate Crosby. Aye. Delegate Harrison. Delegate Boafo. Delegate Howard. Yes. Delegate Charkoudian. Delegate Rose. Delegate Pruski. Yes. Delegate Fennell. Delegate Turner. Delegate Sample Hughes is excused. Delegate Valderrama. Aye. Delegate Chi. Aye. Delegate Frazier Hidalgo. Aye. Delegate Adams excused. Delegate Aaron's. Delegate Pippy. Delegate Jackson. Delegate Johnson. Delegate Rogers. Delegate Ampry. Delegate Weibel. Delegate Fisher is excused. Delegate Queen. Bill passes as amended. Next bill, please.
7 is the cross-filed House Bill 909. It extends the termination date for the State Commission of Real Estate Appraisals, Appraisal Management Companies, and Home Inspectors, and requires an independent evaluation of the commission. This bill comes in the same posture as we passed House Bill 909. However, after both bills left their original chamber, a separation of powers issue was detected in the bill, so the amendment in your packet corrects that separation of powers issue.
On the amendment, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? On the bill as amended, Delegate Crosby. Aye. Delegate Harrison. Delegate Boafo. Delegate Howard. Delegate Charkoudian. Delegate Rose. Delegate Pruski. Yes. Delegate Fennell. Delegate Turner. Delegate Sample Hughes is excused. Delegate Valderrama. Delegate Chi. Delegate Frazier Hidalgo. Aye. Delegate Adams excused. Delegate Aaron's. Delegate Pippy. Delegate Jackson. Delegate Johnson. Delegate Rogers. Delegate Ampry. Delegate Weibel. Delegate Fisher is excused, and Delegate Queen. Bill passes. All right, I believe that concludes our voting session for today. No? Oh.
Senate Bill 838 on the second page.
Senate Bill 838.
All right, Senate Bill 838 requires the Commissioner of Labor and Industry to refer certain complaints alleging violations of specified tax withholding and tax fraud provisions in the Tax General article to the Comptroller for an investigation by the Field Enforcement Bureau. The amendment in your packet removes the requirement that the investigation be by the Field Enforcement Bureau.
Brief indulgence. All right, well, we can discuss the bill. That's not how that works, but close. All right. I like where you're going with this, though. All right, so, let's hold this bill. Let's hold this bill. All right, I believe now that concludes our voting. Please try not to imbibe too heavily, Steve and others. But no, enjoy your lunch, guys. 2:30. And guys, 2:30, please be on time. Thank you, guys.